Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be going through all of the elite Unhoard projects that have been released in the past since 2015, all the ones that are on kapap3.com, which is hosted by our beloved Jono, and also Fletcher's recent Unhoard, which isn't up here yet. But anyway, yeah, I just thought this is an idea I've had for a little bit, and I'm finally just going to get around to doing it, especially since this last Unhoard released, Cool Times, just a few days ago as of recording this. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it, starting with Kapap, the original, the OG Unhoard, the one where every other Unhoard afterwards is modeled after. Now, this Unhoard definitely has a lot of charm. You got Phil Bezgabov, you got Luke and Jono, who I think Luke and Bezgabov were the ones who came up with the original concept, and then Jono also joined in and helped with most of the editing on it. Yeah, just a well put together project. It was received well back in the day. I wasn't around back in the day, but I've heard it was received very well, and it got people keen on making new projects. And in terms of the quality of like runs itself, mainly what I'm going to be judging these off is like quality of runs, quality of skits, quality of music, stuff like that. Just yeah, just sort of all around. And of course, these are all just my opinions. So you can disagree with me, that's fine. But in my opinion, Kapap gets a solid B. It's a, it is a, it was a great Unhoard project that, yeah, it set the stage for every Unhoard project afterwards. So after that, we get Green Project, which was released later that year, and it was just Green Unets, and had featured several perfect dark runs, including an Untied of Airbase Agent 113, which was pretty good for the time. It featured, I think it was the first Untied to feature the double laser skip or whatever. But anyway, yeah, the Horde, it's not too memorable for me. It's not that fresh in my head at the original Green Project. I don't really remember any skits. I'm pretty sure well, I'm trying to remember. It's because I'm getting them mixed up. I think the Defection 5, it definitely wasn't the Green Project, the original one. I think it was Green Project 2, where you had overlaid the Defection 5 in the G5 cutscene. But yeah, I don't really remember too much from this one, but that also means there wasn't really anything bad to say about it either, really. And I do like Green's music taste. He has a pretty varied music taste, so I think I'll put this one like maybe top of C. It'll be like a C plus when it's all said and done. Green Project 2, I remember there were it was a little I do remember the skit at the start with the Depot 25 and into all the GoldenEye fails, and then returning back to PD, and then it was this one he had the Attack Shibese Untied 233. And he definitely made a lot of references. I think this is just Green Project 1 done better, and it flows a little better, so I'll give that one a B tier as well. Then we get Kapap 2, which also has Green Project 3. Kapap 2 is definitely a step up from Kapap 1. It features, let's see the colors here. We got Swiss, we got Jono, we got Sammy. Who is this? I don't even remember. What is this color? This is Luke. Fuck, I'm so sorry for forgetting. Oh, it's green, obviously. Greenette. Yeah. Yeah, anyway. Kapap 2 had some great skits. It had the What did it start? It started out with uh, the the logo of Capap 2 with the names of the people below, and it slowly came in with so that the like the lights. Uh, I'm explaining this really badly, but yeah, um, I really like that intro with the M83 music. I liked Swiss's section; it was a great intro to Swiss. Sammy had some funny runs, and then um, yeah, everybody had some great contributions. I think this ended with a Luke Silo 100, which was a really good time back then. It still is today, but especially for back then, that was really good. So this is getting an A tier for me. And then after that, we got Capap 3, which honestly, it might still be the best one to this day. It's this or one other one down the line that we'll get to. But Capap 3 was just the perfect ending to the Capap trilogy. Um, we saw the epic storyline of this character that they made, Capap, that was sort of they sort of introduced the storyline in Capap 2 a bit with like the Zelda sort of theme. Um, but they really went for it here. I love Jono's. Wait, the I love Jono's 109 and 108, but I think yeah, his Remember Me treat was Cap 2, which I also I just love Jono's sections in here. Um, and Green Project 3 ending with the investigation untied. I mean, I'm the Invest PA player, so I'm a little biased towards that the Invest PA time at the end, and then Luke with the perfect ending of the insane 2 second Aztec double low untied. It just flowed so well, and yeah, like I said, a perfect ending to the Capap trilogy. This is an easy S tier. Yes, this is what we got so far into 2017, and no hordes in 2018, but in 2019 we get part 11, which is Fletcher and Pollywood. Fletcher mostly had GoldenEye times, and Polly had mostly PD times, although both of them had runs in the other games, respectively. This one, it's honestly not that memorable to me. I do remember Fletcher saying he did a lot of it very safe. Uh, like his music choices were all like classic rock, and his, his editing wasn't really ambitious. I mean, he used iMovie, so you can't really be that ambitious with iMovie editing, but he had some decent times, I guess, for the time. Like Runway 0034 was a strategy on Die where he got it, so that's probably the highlight of that Unhoard. And I do remember some of the skits being a little long and drawn out. This one's a little more fresh in my memory because this is the first one, the first Unhoard I watched live. I all these Unhoards before I never watched when they premiered, but this is the first one I watched when it premiered. Um, I do remember a skit. It was like he was in voice chat drunk or something, talking about how hoarding sucked or whatever. Um, but it was a little too long and drawn out, which between Fletcher's two Unhoards was kind of a theme with the skits that were just a little too long and drawn out. So part 11 is going to get a C tier from me. Yeah, honestly, not much to say about it. Sam Pap. Now, for entertainment value, this is probably an S tier. Obviously, the quality of runs, this was more of an anti-horde for those uninitiated. It was pretty much just very low point times when Samo, all he did was play for the pointless time records. Um, and these were just the times he accidentally got points on while going for those pointless time records, with the exception of a Streets SA 156 and a Caverns SA 121 with the Mind Throw, which back then was a really insane strategy for anybody to be pulling off, let alone Samo. Um, but him and Fletcher had a rivalry on Caverns Agent back then, and this was a pretty insane shock when he revealed that at the very end. But the entertainment value beforehand comes from the fact that, as you can see from the acronym, it's a musical party. So he actually created elite themed songs that were formed from other songs, and it was just hilarious. So yeah, entertainment value is amazing. Obviously, quality of runs and editing weren't that great, but um, Samo's character certainly salvages it, at least a little. I don't think I'll put it ahead of original Capap, but I'll put it in between Capap and Project 2. Then we get to PD, which was Kevby, it was Flicker, it was Polly. Polly was a double agent. He was in this Horde and this Horde at the same time. We had MW. Do we have anyone else? I'm not remembering. There might have been one more person that I'm forgetting. But highlights of this Horde were the Chicago World Records from Kev B, the Crash Site PA Untied from Flicker, and the Defection Essay from MW. Although the Defection Essay was kind of spoiled beforehand, so most people had already known that he had the time. But either way, this Horde does suffer from some of the things I mentioned with Part 11, with some of the skits being long and drawn out, particularly the house tour of Kev B and Aperture, who was his roommate. Yeah, it was cool to see the house and all the fucking arcade stuff that Kev had. But again, it was way too long and drawn out. It could have been much more simplified. So I think I'll put leaning towards B minus or C plus with this one. Where is it? Is it even on here? Oh, here it is. I'll put it in C plus for now. All right, Century Club. This was the first one. This is the first Unhoard that I was a part of. It was me, BK, Yundus, and Happens, with cameos from Dusky, Polly, again, and Dr. Light. Now this had some charm to it. I really like the music choices we had for this, still to this day. The saga of BK's Runaway Essay, which was a huge meme back in the day, and him finally getting 22 at the end of this Unhoard was good to see. But obviously we were all very new players back then, so we did not get very good times for this. And in terms of like editing, I feel like there's a lot of things I would have done differently from my section, and I'm sure like BK and Yendis would agree. But this does have the Invest 102 fake out into Dual 9, which is one of my proudest works still. And it's probably still like the hardest I've made anybody laugh, so I still really enjoy that. I'm gonna give Century Club, I'm gonna put it in B minus. And then here we go, K4. Man, the hype for this Horde was probably bigger than any other Horde, and that's mainly thanks to Ricky, who already had sort of a large platform on Twitch and YouTube, and he used that to promote this on Horde, and boy, did it fucking pay off. It was Ricky, it was Dusky, Joris, and Wotus, and Frosthops. And this this just flows so well. The music is great, the editing is great, and the times were very good as well. Um, and I think the most underappreciated part about this Unhoard is what puts it above most of the rest is the quality of skits, especially the Wotus skit when he loses his confidence, he goes out on the street, and then Irie comes in and he's Irie's the sensei or whatever, and brings Wotus back to form. Um, but that whole thing is done with no dialogue, which is insane. Like the cinematography, which I assume is from Dusky, and like the direction was all just like so like professionally done. It was awesome to see, and it's still probably sorry, got a Mac Fiat. It's still probably like the best like skit in a horde, or at least the most well like formulated skit. So yeah, and I don't know what more to say. This is an easy S tier also with Capap 3. I don't know whether to put it ahead of Capap 3 or not. I think if I was honest, I'd say Capap 3 is better, but like if I was biased, I'm putting K4 ahead of Capap 3 just because it's a little more personal to me. Um, and but like I said, the hype surrounding it was unreal. So it's really a toss up between these two for the best Unhoard project. Anyways, let's move on. Project 2020. This was also another one I was involved in, although not as much as Century Club. I was just 2 runs at the beginning. But I think this Unhoard still has the most records and unties out of any Unhoard. And that's mostly thanks to Ace and Callie at the end here. And also, what's his name? Fernando, Joey, whatever. I'm sorry for forgetting your name. He had the insane S200 time with the fence shot and the nade strat, which is still insane. Um, and then he also got some good runs from Dr. Lights, Yendis, and BK. So, yeah, quality of runs is probably better than any other Horde. Music, there were some good music choices that I really liked, especially on the S200. Editing was pretty good, although I'm pretty sure we were kind of lacking in skits. I will say that. But honestly, it didn't really need them because the runs spoke for themselves. And broke both minute barriers in both games. We broke the 111 barrier in GoldenEye, and I don't remember which one it was in PD, because PD has gone down so much since then, thanks to like infill and shit like that. But yeah, this is a pretty good on Horde as well. I'm putting this in the A tier. I won't put it ahead of Capap 2. I'll leave it where it is there. Okay, Amalgamates. As the title suggests, this was an amalgamation of several Unhoards. Definitely 2, but maybe even 3. I don't remember. But yeah, there were so many people involved in this Horde, like more than 10. I think it was like 13, which was crazy. And so they had to put it into 2 parts. And unfortunately, that did prove to be a little too much for most people who watched it. There were some good highlights, but yeah, by the end of it, like I just remember I was so overwhelmed with all like there was just so much, like especially from BK and Timmy. Uh, so it's hard to remember a lot of what was achieved there. I do remember liking Corey's section, which was in part 1. He had a really good intro to the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack, which was cool. And then of course, Hera's P2 Agent 36 at the end of part 1, and Will's attack ship sweep at the end of part 2 were definitely highlights as well. But yeah, this definitely suffered from just being too long, too much. It was just a little too much, so it was hard to get anything like memorable more than just a few brief moments. So I'm gonna put this like, let's see, somewhere. I think. I guess right here is fine. What do we got next? We got TASPAP. Now, I'm gonna try to put my biases I- uh, of this horde aside and just look at it like objectively from a horde standpoint, because yeah. Anyway, yeah. So TASPAP was the Unhoard where um, it was headed by Whitehead, and it included a lot of runners again, like amalgamates, but most of them only had like one run, which was like the frigate 23s. Um, but yeah, the premise of this horde was um, they discovered a lot of new strategies. One of them was supposed to be the Bunker 2 strategy, but that got leaked early before. Um, but yeah, there was a new change in frigate. There was the John push on escape, and then there was a few Taz only strats like uh, the piggyback strat on Damn SA, which that was pretty insane to see live. Like we did not, nobody knew what the fuck was happening when they showed that. Um, uh, but in terms of like editing and musical choices, it wasn't that memorable, honestly. So it was pretty short too, so not a lot of content to get out of it. I'll put this, let's see as well. Yeah, that's fine. Project Quarantine. Um, this one, I was going into this, I was hoping to see a little more character from Dirty Harry and Zach Mulak, who are two kind of like unknown guys who sort of kept to themselves, and didn't interact that much with the community. Um, so I was hoping to see a little more of that, but unfortunately we didn't get much of that. And a lot of this ended up just looking like other Unhords in the past, just sort of not even just being inspired by them, which is totally fine. Like all of these Unhords have inspired each other, but it just looked so close in some places to other Unhords in the past, such as like the intro was like clearly modeled after the K4 intro, um, just stuff like that. Um, I wasn't a huge fan of the music choices. The runs were pretty good though. Like we got some good world records, like the Streets 154s from Dirty Harry, uh, and Zach also had several ones as well. Um, but yeah, it just wasn't that memorable. I think it could have been a lot more than it ended up being, and again it was pretty short too. So this is also just gonna be a C tier. Put it there. Mission 97. So this project introduced a nice concept of anonymizing the players. So we kind of had an idea of who they were based on the runs that were achieved, but it was a cool concept that you didn't really know who was doing which runs, um, and they all gave themselves like agent names, like Agent Frost, Agent Star, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was another big group. I think it was like 8 or 9 players, another two-parter, but not as big as Amalgamates. And it had probably the best ending to an Unhoard ever with Joris's Silo 59 segment set to Day in the Life by the Beatles. I mean, um, yeah, that's just an amazing segment. And then you also get like the Chris's uh, Egypt 44 saga with slaying the Untides by Hados. Um, but other than that, I don't really remember that much from it. Yeah, I do like the concept though. I feel like it would work a little better if you weren't as familiar with the people and their runs. But since I was, I kind of did know. But I'll give it a B tier. Uh, I'll put it just above Century Club. Portapalooza XD. This was I was involved with this. I didn't have any runs in it, but I did do some of the editing. But the main runners of this were Will, Para, Goose, and Late Demon. Quality of runs, uh, as you can tell from the people involved, was pretty up there at a lot of world records. But it was something that we didn't really take that seriously, and just kind of had a lot of fun with a lot of memes. As you can tell by the title, Horrorpalooza XD. This was kind of just like a working title that we decided just to go with, in spirit of it not being taken not so seriously. Um, but it ended up pretty well. Para says it's his favorite horde still, so um, I personally wouldn't say that, but I still like it a lot. Um, and what are some of the memorable moments from this one? I get some of them confused with each other. There was a few like of the fake outs with the credits into more runs, and then it ended up in the Will's Deep Sea PA 256, which is still a 4 second untied. So yeah, some great runs. Oh yeah, Late Demon's Escape Sweep, which he's since even improved. But um, yeah, those were some amazing runs. Uh, Goose had some good moments too, with his like a Streets 154 dupe, which was pretty funny. Um, and what did Para have? No, he didn't have G. He had the G5 times in this. He had the airbase times in this, but no, his P2 time was in the next one. That's what I'm thinking of. Um, but yeah, it was a fun horde, not taken so seriously, like I said. Um, but good times nevertheless. I'm gonna put it. I'll put it above the original. Okay, we got three left. Oh, actually four left because of Fletcher's on board. That's not on. Ozymandias. This was a shorter one, less than an hour. I was also in this one, but only for 2 runs. I had the skit where I do the I'm trapped in an unhoard and shit. Um, but the main point of the skit was to sort of celebrate Will becoming PD champ and some of the times he took to achieve there. It was made in about a month, so it was pretty rushed, and the end product could have come out looking a little better, a little cleaner, I think. But I think it got its point across for the most part. Um, and yeah, this is the one that Para had as P2 untied in, which is still untied. So yeah, quality of times were good, but it was pretty rushed, and yeah, not much to say about it. Will became champ. I'll put it bottom of B, I think. Maybe top of C, actually. I'll put it top of C. Alright. Then we got Untitled.mp4. So this was a very short horde for Joris, also featuring a run from Chris, which would later be revealed in this Unhoard. Yeah, this was a very short, less than 20 minutes, I think. And the main it was kind of an anti-horde. The main point Joris was trying to get across was that sort of the sentiment behind hoarding was kind of going down within the community, and he was just trying to reflect that. Um, I think he explained it better than I just did there, but that's sort of the gist. Um, what did he even have in this? He had an S2 147. He showed some random time he got from years ago. He had a facility 52 on double O, something else. I don't even remember. But yeah, not much to get out of it besides that. So put this here, I guess. And then we get Cool Times, the most recent Unhoard project. Um, so yeah, this was one I was involved in. I had two world records and nice crash site, yeah, 90-point sweep, um, and then but it was mainly Chris's on hoard, Chris G's on hoard. He had been hoarding times pretty much since Mission 97 aired, and he kind of just had him on the back burner for a while and was looking to get him out. He was going to get him out in at the beginning of this year, but me, Para, and BK decided to join in, so we all ended up getting some times for it, which was cool. Cool times. Exactly. Um, I really like the editing we did with this. The editing and the sort of um, tributes to Moam and stuff. I like my skit that I did for it, the stain remover infomercial. Um, yeah, it was a little less than an hour. It wasn't so in your face, um, but it had really, really good times, really cool times. That joke's never gonna get old. Um, and yeah, I really like how it turned out. I think we all uh, did a really nice job with the editing and formatting of this project. So I might be recency biased, but I'm gonna put it in uh, A tier. And now we got our final one, which is FOK Fok, which I think it's like Fletcher only Kappa or whatever. Um, and Fletcher, if you're watching this, I like you. You were the first leader I met. Um, you're a good guy, but yeah, this didn't do it for me. The main reason, which was sort of an extension of part 11, what I said about that one, the skits are way too drawn out. They could have been simplified, shortened, much more, and you still could have gotten the point across. Um, and yeah, that's the main gripe. Um, the quality of times wasn't so great, but he kind of hinted at that beforehand. So um, I liked some of the music choices. I don't really remember any of them. It's sort of the problem, though. And part of that is because just sort of all I can remember was um, some of the some of the skits that just either didn't land, or it was mainly because they were all just like so long. And some people probably like the fake out at the end with him shaving his mustache and then no times happen, kind of just blue balls us. Um, some people like that, but I'm not one of them. Um, so the fact that he was hoarding these for so long too, and just kind of left it cooking when he could have released it like 3 years beforehand or so. Um, that probably uh, contributed to the bad quality of it. Um, just because he probably had some ideas in 2020 that you wanted to change in 2023 but didn't quite get to or whatever. So it just a lot of circumstances that led to this not living up to the hype. Not that there really was much hype. I don't really think. I think it was only announced a week in advance. I actually have it pulled up here. Yeah, it was announced 1 week in advance. So, but again, yeah, no hate to Fletcher. He's a great guy. Just who happened to have the two worst Unhoards in my opinion. Uh, anyway, that is the tier list. We got K4 at the top. Let's see, we got, would I rearrange any of these? Probably not. I think I like it the way it is. Yeah, this looks all good. So yeah, that's my tier list. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to make your own tier list, if you care enough to. Um, but other than that, yeah, thank you for watching. I hope to see more great Unhoards in the future. Yeah, see you.